Welcome back to Battle Brothers Abridged, where last time the world map started giving me some hassle, parties started actually attacking me. It was annoying, but we got through it. We also started doing the noble quests. Unfortunately, they turned out to just be the same as the normal quests, but with different looking enemies. So we did a couple of those. We also had a interesting encounter with billions of Nax errors, which we somehow got away with without losing any party members. And now I'm taking on another noble quest. This one caught my eye because it did actually look a bit different to the other ones. Plus, there's a massive reward. We have to draw out an orc warlord and bring him down. Sounded like some kind of boss encounter almost. But there is an enormous problem with this mission. It's a problem shared with Mount & Blade, especially the original, where mission objectives can be RNG based, and this is one of those cases. We have to find any orc war party. It hasn't created one for us to fight in order to progress the mission. We just have to happen to come across one somewhere in the wilderness, and we might not. So that's the issue. I started looking all around the quest location, trying to find where it might be, thinking surely it's somewhere near where we received the quest, because I was under the impression that something would spawn for us to hunt down. I really don't think that is the case. What I did find is a ruin in the desert nearby, and I thought, maybe it wants us to attack this place, and then that will give us a fight with some orcs. I actually dropped a save, as you might have seen, thinking I'll go in. If it's not the orcs, I'll just save scum and go back out. But I don't actually need to do that, because after seeing it was the bandits, I went into the menu to load that game and saw the retreat button instead and realized we can just use this. So hitting retreat makes your guys automatically spend their turns walking towards the edge of the map, and we're able to just leave the fight. So we're still actually Iron Manning it in this campaign, miraculously enough. I looked around for a bit more, then ended up walking towards the other side of the map, just hoping to see something at this stage. I was wondering whether the quest hadn't worked, but yeah, I think it's just chance whether you'll encounter some orcs. And I had seen more orcs in the past, or more goblins I should say, on the left side of the map than the right, so there was a partial clue there. I ended up coming to the very bottom left, where I then finally saw some orcs just off the road, walking up and down. So this was my chance. I had no idea if this was actually going to progress the quest, but I thought, well, it's a better hope than anything else. Let's go for it. I formed up with a spear wall line, anticipating that the orcs were going to do their jumpy, stunny attack. I figured if we have the spear wall set up, they won't be able to do that on us quite so well, at least. One guy's already into melee range at the bottom. And there we go, someone tried the jump, got knocked back, and no stun, so that works out. Now our flag comes to bear and takes off most of that guy's armor. The problem is our spear wall thing didn't really work out, because most of the enemy here are going around the bottom of the line. So in the middle, our troops are just standing there, losing their fatigue standing there due to how spear wall works. Inconvenient. There's not too much to say otherwise about this battle, because we have numbers on our side. The orc young aren't especially strong. They do more damage than normal enemies, but have about the same health, so we can just stab them down. And we get this result. No losses, that's all good. We get some more orc loot, not terribly useful, but it is worth some money. And it does give us a pop-up saying that surely the orc warlord is around here somewhere, or something to that effect. So now we really do have some hope. We need to look around here, I suppose. Went back to town first to offload some things and just generally have some time pass, which will restore our equipment and health. And then, as I was going back to where I just was to start looking, I saw another orc party in about the same place we defeated the last one. However, nothing about it indicated to me that this was the warlord party. There's no troop called the warlord, the party name doesn't have it in. It looked like it was just some more randomly spawning orcs. So I decided to not fight them and run away, thinking we need to look for something that's definitely the objective. No point wasting time fighting just a random spawned group of enemies. We also got this pop-up as I was moving, saying that there are orcs nearby, and I figured this must be something to do with the quest. It's giving me a clue that I'm near the objective. And because of that, after looking around for a while longer, we're cutting now to me fighting that party that was just chasing me. We actually moved up to the north, so we're not even in the desert anymore. I figured this must be it. We must have to fight this party that spawned in the area where it said the warlord is around here somewhere, and one of these guys counts as the warlord. There are some stronger enemies here, they're just not marked as a warlord. We have orc warriors, but I'll just spoil it for you now because some of you will already know this is not the quest objective. We've just been tricked into doing this random battle. Looks like we're getting some good value for money out of the spear wall though, as those orcs are just bouncing off us and taking damage. So we've got a battle here that's in two distinct parts. We're just fighting some orc young at the top. We can probably beat them, but at the bottom we've got orc warriors. And if you were looking very closely just before, I used my flag to attack one of them. We got the hit and it ever so slightly depleted their armor bar, so that's the defining feature of these guys. They have absolutely loads of armor, so our big hits that normally completely remove an enemy's armor are just chipping away at it now. And once it comes to using the spears, which have half or less damage compared to the flags and pikes, well, it's going to take a long time to grab a kill. Plus they have more health than regular enemies too. Meaning overall, we can't make the usual progress with the flag and pike tactics that we usually do. They're still going to work just fine against the orc young at the top though. I've also released a bunch of dogs. The dogs didn't do too well in this fight. They can be killed in one hit by orcs. The orc weapons do more damage than normal human weapons, so even the low level orcs can grab one hit kills on our dogs. A shame, but they're still a useful distraction potentially, taking that damage away from one of our brothers. We get unlucky in a lucky way down at the bottom because a flag and pike attack both score a headshot on that orc warrior, but because we've already started working down his torso armor, getting a headshot now is a waste. It's just depleting a different armor bar, not getting us closer to depleting that health. So that kind of sucks. And the thing not mentioned about the orc warriors is that as well as having extremely high armor and health, they have high damage as well. They can kill us in 2 hits. They can also do that thing we saw there where they push you backwards. And we just lost one of our pike guys just like that. Bit of a shame because that pike guy was the only one reasonably doing any damage. Well, it's up to our ever reliable flag to make some progress now. We've almost got the armor off the first one. The second one is still untouched. There's also a third one nearby. Overall, we're getting the general sense that at this stage in the game, we are out of our depth. And somebody did tell me in the comments that this game, as well as scaling based on your brother count and your level to some extent, scales based on time, meaning we're just screwed in terms of the general game. It's only going to get harder, and right now, well, it's too hard. The enemy can kill us in 1 round, and it takes something like 5 or 6 rounds for us to kill one of them. And the enemy have the advantage in that they spawn on the world map, so they have infinite numbers, thinking about this holistically. So, all we can do for this fight is just sort of get stuck in. We're already in the enemy's zone of control. They can take off 100 armor with a single hit, meaning it's usually 2-hit kills for us. We absorb a lot of those hits into dogs, losing all of my dogs, but that's probably worth it in this case. We lose a whole bunch of shields and armor pieces, very slowly depleting the enemy's armor and health. So here, our famous flag will strike itself into this orc warrior, finally bringing one of them down. 2 to go. And I should add that the fight with the orc young was broadly fine, so we're folding around from the top now and bringing in all of the troops who won that fight to be involved in the frantic stabbing at the orc warriors. Here we're going to be disadvantaged by the lack of surround and pound specific mechanics, although the boost to accuracy will help. Now we just keep on hitting. Here was a case where I did this rotation with a pikeman and he died. Apparently he was bleeding from a hit he took previously and lost the rest of his health. So with a last burst of life, he pulled someone in to take his place. Probably a little bit better than dying where he stood. Anyway, we just absolutely wail on the remaining 2 orc warriors, and we do eventually bring them down. But that battle sucked. In that footage there, I don't even know if we saw all of the casualties. Maybe I accidentally edited some of it out, but we took 5 losses, but one of them comes back with mere brain damage, so that's something. However, taking 4 losses, also sucks pretty heavily because all of the experience built up over that massive long run we just saw of me not dying for like 20 battles in a row, that's all gone. That's probably going to be making things even worse in terms of our falling behind the day advanced curve difficulty scaling thing, where the game's just going to get worse and worse, and we're now going to be even more struggling to stay afloat. You might note there's a group of NPC soldiers nearby. I bet if I'd done that differently and not just turned around and run after those orcs, I could have made the orcs fight those guys to make that battle way easier. I also could reload a save from before the fight, especially because, as you might have noted, we didn't need to do that fight. I was speculating on that being the mission objective. It's not, so it wouldn't be too unfair for me to just load back to before, since it was a waste of time. No progress was made, just back progress. But I am somewhat strictly Iron Manning this, just to be pedantic and make it worse for myself. Because the developers intended this, I want to get the horrible experience the developers intended so that I can complain about it, essentially. So, we're now back over where I got the quest, again just frantically searching about for where this warlord might have spawned, hired some more trash brothers by the looks of things. Then, after not finding the guy, I came all the way back to where that last battle was, again looking for the warlord, thinking maybe it spawned somewhere around here. The message did imply that it had. Then while walking down the road, we are suddenly attacked again by a bunch of orcs. Looks like it's the same battle that we just did so badly in about the same place as well. This time though, we know the orc warriors are on the next level and we're weaker than we were before, so there's no point risking this fight whatsoever. We're going to use the retreat mechanic. There's only one problem. With the orc jumpy chargy stunny thing, they can use that on my rearmost guy. He gets stunned, now he'll miss his retreating turn and he's stuck in the zone of control there, so he's really screwed. We're just going to have to lose that brother and sacrifice him to let everyone else get away. Thus bringing our total casualties on this mission up to like 5 brothers, I don't know, maybe 9 dogs, and a lot of in-game days, which we now know is making the game worse. So we're actually building up a future investment in death. By the mission taking so long, we're increasing the chance that we'll die in future missions. So I'm not sure how you'll account for that in how badly this mission is going, because it's hard to say. But it's going even worse than it looks. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say. So goodbye to that brother who sacrificed himself to let us escape. Feels a bit like Mount and Blade in that you can effectively do that in this game. Handy. I ran off to buy some more party members and some armor for them as well. Not that that armor's going to do all that much good. Might spare them from instantly being killed though. Which of course gets rid of all of our money now, so we're really going back to where we were many episodes ago in terms of money and party strength. Not helped by difficulty scaling with time. That's just what's going to kill us in this situation. I went back to where I thought the warlord might have originally been after that message about him being around here somewhere. The familiar orc marauder party is still here and they do attack us, but I just retreat from that. No casualties this time. And then I continued to look around the area, peeking into the fog of war at the edge, thinking maybe the warlord was a static location we had to attack. Doesn't appear to be the case. In conclusion, I have absolutely no idea what's going on with this mission, and this is when I gave up. I just cancelled the contract. This means we miss out on that reward, so now all of the loss we've taken really has been for nothing, and you also lose a bunch of renown. I think 100 renown to the same amount you get for completing a quest objective. That is a shame, but at least that's finally gone. That mission cost us an incalculable amount of money, game progress potential, and probably made it so that we're going to lose the campaign soon. Now we're just going to grind on towards the possibly inevitable death. Because I am still playing in purist mode, I'm not supposed to know that I'm about to lose the game, so I have to play this as if I am a naive casual player who doesn't have YouTube comments, who doesn't know how scaling systems work, things like that, to try and get the quote-unquote experience the developers intended. Because that's the best thing to complain about, as already mentioned. Anyway, I grabbed a regular mission to go to the middle of the map and deliver a package, so that's something a bit more doable. We get some money. Then I take on a 1 skull mission. Unfortunately, it's a noble mission, meaning we now have to walk to the top left corner of the map to do it. But I was willing to go in for this because it was 1 skull. I thought we'll have a nice easy time, nobody will die, start building up a bit more XP, maybe get some loot or something. Unfortunately, we still have to fight orcs and even an orc warrior. I was really hoping for goblins or less in this case, but I think that difficulty scaling is getting to us now. We still have to fight one of these warriors, meaning it will be a dangerous fight. As before, the orc young don't pose too much of a threat. They can do big damage, but it's about half the damage of a warrior, and they probably have half or less the health and armor to work through. So with numbers, we can stab our way to victory there. Then it's just a question of what the warrior will do to us as we attempt to bring him down. Unfortunately, we're still going to be in that 1 round potential death scenario. And in this case, the warrior does kill the guy in front of him. Boom. So that's 1 casualty. We just need to keep stabbing. I'm not sure if there are any good tactics to use to try and defeat the warriors. We need like traps or the ability to make things fall over or something like that. In this case, I think we just have to keep stabbing and hope that the RNG is in our favour. Well, by the end of the stabbing fest, we haven't lost another party member, so that's pretty good actually. It could have gone much worse for sure. Losing a party member will possibly invalidate this mission in terms of our wealth, because getting another one, paying for the journeys we had to do and such, will get rid of much of the reward. But we tried. On the way back, I had to dance around this big party of undead. Part of the scaling seems to include large things spawning in the wilderness. Normally, I don't even look at my party when I'm traveling, but at this stage in the game, stuff is starting to just spawn in the woods and places like that, so you can't always take the direct routes that the game path finds for you. Back at the quest location, I was checking out the armor shop that was here, so it's another candy shop window moment, where I can scope out what we're supposed to have and how much money I'm supposed to have spent in order to have roughly double the amount of armor I have now, which would probably make us much more competitive against the orc warrior tier of enemy, and of course higher tiers of enemy that probably are supposed to be showing up at some point. In this case, with our money all out the window after our previous disasters in the warlord mission, that's never going to happen. Instead, I buy an okay shield, and then check out the local mission. There's a mission to go and fight the thing that's hunting villagers, so it's going to be monsters in this case. A 2 skull mission, but I suppose we have to do it, and because it's not a noble mission, there's a promise of it not being as difficult as a 2 skull noble mission. I'm presuming that's how that works. I'm going to end this episode here. What I want to do with this series is probably have only 1 more part. My vague plan is following on actually from the roleplay thing I mentioned. Get to a point when a normal player would be convinced that they can't possibly win the game, or that they have to give up or start again, that sort of thing. In theory, I don't know that in my roleplay. We don't know that it's just going to keep getting harder. Or I might suspect that difficult enemies are linked to locations or specific quests, things like that. I know it sounds strange to be treating the game like this, but it's essentially my reaction to being in a situation where I'm being told how to play the game as I'm playing it by people who already know how to do it. I'm being commented, emailed walkthroughs constantly, so I'm sort of having this thrown at me, and I try to ignore it in order to maintain my quote-unquote purity, my quote-unquote as intended experience, and this might even help give those people who know how to play the game a bit of new perspective in what the game is like for people who don't already know the exploits, don't know the workarounds, don't know the specific builds that work, they don't know how the game was put together, they weren't there in early access, anything like that. I think it gives an interesting look at how a game that has clearly been developed through an early access cycle and contains plenty of very easily solvable flaws that have been deliberately overlooked because people were so used to them due to that early access, how it looks to a disgusting casual like me who has also played a lot of tactics games, and I'm quickly able to compare this to other experiences I've had and find this to be lacking things I would just imagine should automatically be there, but are probably not there because of that internal echo chambery early access cycle of feedback that was there in development. I presume anyway, not that I've even looked up anything like that. Well, whatever I'm talking about, I'm going to play some more Battle Brothers next time, and rumour has it, it's not going to go very well.